Hello everybody, welcome to KPIS Delhi's C.A.R.E initiative, Current Affairs through Reverse Engineering. These are the articles we'll cover for the day. Now, let us look into the first article. Election Commission tells Telangana government to stop disbursal of Raitu Bandhu, cites model code. Now for prelims, you need to know some points about Raitu Bandhu and model code. Okay, now Raitu Bandhu is a welfare scheme in Telangana. It is basically a farmers investment support scheme. Alright, the government gives farmers an incentive of rupees 5,000 for each acre of land as an investment for crop twice a year. Okay, that is for two crops, Rabi and Kharif. That means for 1 acre, a farmer will receive 10,000 rupees per year. Alright. And in neighboring states like Odisha, schemes like Kalia are in place. Alright. Neighboring as in neighbor to Andhra Pradesh. It is neighbor to Andhra Pradesh. However, other Indian states, alright. Other Indian states, you have Odisha's government giving Kalia scheme, and in center, it is Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi. Okay, PM Kisan scheme. It is a central sector scheme that is aimed at providing financial assistance to all the cultivable landholding farmer families across the country. Alright. So, yeah. So, these are some basics about Raitu Bandhu and similar schemes. Now, coming to the model code. Now, what is this model code of conduct? It is a set of norms which have been evolved with consensus of political parties who have consented to abide by the principles embodied and said in the code, okay, in letter and spirit during the elections process. Okay. So, this model code of conduct is enforced from the date of announcement of the election schedule by the election commission, and it's operational till the elections are completed. Alright. Now, coming to the applicability of this model code of conduct, during the general elections, that is during the elections to House of People Lok Sabha, the code is applicable throughout the country. Alright, and during the general elections to the Legislative Assembly or the Vidhan Sabha, the code is applicable in the entire state, alright. Then what is the scene when we go for by-elections? In by-elections, if the by-elections are happening in a state capital or a metropolitan city or a municipal corporation, then the code would be applicable in the area of concerned constituency only. Alright, constituency only. Okay. In all other cases, the model code of conduct would be enforced in the entire district that is covering the constituency going for by-elections. Okay. So, this is regarding applicability of model code of conduct. Okay. Now, the third point is the ministers shall not combine their official visit with the electioneering work. Alright. Now, the fourth point with respect to welfare schemes and government works, ministers and other authorities shall not sanction grants and payments out of the discretionary funds from the time elections are announced. Alright, now what are these discretionary funds? This spending is an optional part of the fiscal policy. Okay. That is, in contrast to social programs for which the funding is mandatory and determined by the number of eligible recipients. Okay, so this is just the optional part of the fiscal policy. So these are termed as discretionary spending. This will come under discretionary spending. Okay, or discretionary funds. Yeah. Now, on the poll day, what is the scene? On the poll day, canvassing for votes within a distance of 100 meters of the polling station is prohibited on the day of poll. Alright. This is one thing that is to be followed on the poll day. And no person is allowed to go armed with arms as defined in the Arms Act of 1959. That is the second thing. And third point, leader of a political party is not allowed to use any private, fixed wing aircraft and helicopters for the purpose of supervising and monitoring the polling and counting process. Alright. So, these are some basics about the Model Code of Conduct. Now, let us get into the question. Consider the following. Ministers and other authorities shall not sanction grants out of discretionary funds from the time of elections are announced. This is correct. Canvassing for votes within a distance of 500 meter of polling station is prohibited on the day of poll. This is not 500, this is 100. Okay. So, this is wrong. Leader of a political party is not allowed to use private fixed wing aircraft and helicopters for the purpose of supervising and monitoring the polling and counting process on the day of poll and counting. This is true. So, two statements. Okay. B is the answer. Which of the following statements concerning the Election Commission's Model Code of Conduct is not correct? The Model Code of Conduct has been provided by the Constitution of India. See, Constitution of India, no. This is wrong. Okay, it was not Constitution of India. It was agreed through consensus, right? So, this is wrong. The Model Code of Conduct emerged out of a voluntary decision by the political parties in 1968 to abide by certain norms of electoral campaign. This is correct. Okay. So, when it is not correct, that means one should be there in the answer, which means C and D are gone. C and D are gone. Okay. Actually, you don't need to read 2, but here we have read 2 already. So, yeah. Now, third point, in case of violation of Model Code of Conduct, the Supreme Court of India can step in on its own accord. No, this is also wrong. And one more thing you have to remember, that MCC does not have any statutory backing. Okay, and Election Commission of India actually argues against making it legally binding. Why? Because it says that this election should be closed within 45 days, and judicial proceedings typically take what? Longer time. Therefore, it is not feasible to make it enforceable by law. Alright. So, this is wrong. Now, so third 1 and 3 statements are wrong. This is the answer. You don't need to read fourth statement at all, because in the options there is no scope. Okay. Now, next article. It's time to revamp the structure of Supreme Court. What is the context? It is saying that over 5 crore cases are pending in various courts across India. Okay. So, we have to see some basics about Supreme Court of India. Alright. Now, it has 3 jurisdictions. One, original, appellate and advisory. Okay. Advisory. Alright. Now, original jurisdiction, exclusive original jurisdiction of Supreme Court extends to any dispute between the Government of India and one or more states. Okay. If the issue is about any law or of a fact, okay, so that is original jurisdiction of Supreme Court. Now, what is the appellate jurisdiction? The Supreme Court is primarily a court of appeal. Okay, and it hears appeals against the judgments of the lower courts. Okay, and this appeals can be in the matters of constitution, in civil matters, okay, or appeals by special leave, or criminal matters. Okay. Now, coming to the advisory jurisdiction, the Constitution under Article 143 authorizes the President to seek the opinion of the Supreme Court. Alright. So, that is the advisory jurisdiction. And you should also be aware of one more article, Article 145, Clause 3, where the Constitution mandates that a minimum of 5 judges must sit for cases involving a substantial question of law and interpretation of the Constitution. Okay, or any reference made under Article 143 dealing with what? President's power to consult the court. Okay, so in those cases, there should be a minimum of 5 judges. Alright. And if we come to the historical perspective, during colonial times, there were Supreme Courts in Bombay, Calcutta and Madras. Then the Indian High Courts Act of 1861 replaced these Supreme Courts with High Courts for specific regions, and then came the Government of India Act of 1935, which established what? Federal Court of India as an appellate body for the Privy Council and the High Courts. Alright, so these three things you have to remember in the historical perspective. Alright, now let us see the question. Consider the following. Article 145 clause 3 of the Indian Constitution mandates that a minimum of 5 judges must sit for constitutional cases. This is true, we have seen, right? During colonial times, 3 Supreme Courts existed in Allahabad, Calcutta and Madras. No, this is not Allahabad, it is Bombay. A minimum of 3 judges must sit for cases referred to the Supreme Court by the President under Article 143. No, this is also 5. This is also 5. Supreme Court has an exclusive original jurisdiction over any dispute between the Government of India and one or more states, or between the Government of India and any states on one side and one or more states on the other side, or between 2 or more states, only when the dispute involves a question of law and not a question of fact. Not a question of fact, this is wrong. Law and question of fact. So, this is also gone. So, only one statement is correct. Alright. Now, power of Supreme Court of India to decide the dispute between the centre and state falls under the original jurisdiction. We have just seen, right? Yeah. Now, can dollarization save an economy? Now, what is this dollarization? This can be the definition itself can be a potential question in prelims. Dollarization, recently seen in news, refers to. Okay, so it refers to the adoption of United States dollar as the official currency or alongside the national currency of a country. Okay, totally replacing your national currency with US dollar, or you will have your national currency and US dollar as the official currency. Alright. Now, are there any countries which actually adopted this? Yes. Ecuador, El Salvador have officially adopted the US dollar as their official currencies. Alright. So, this is about dollarization. Now, which of the following statements accurately describes the concept of dollarization? Dollarization refers to the process of converting gold into dollars. No. Dollarization involves replacement of a country's domestic currency with a foreign currency, usually the United States dollar. This is correct. Okay. Dollarization is a term used to describe the strengthening of a country's currency against the US dollar. This is wrong. So, this definition you have to remember. Alright. So, B is the answer. Now, the problem of international liquidity is related to the non-availability of goods and services. No, liquidity is usually, we say it will relate to the cash or money we have. I do not have liquid cash, I only have money in my Paytm. That's what we say, right? So, it is related to currencies. Alright, so gold and silver, no. Dollars and other hard currencies, yes. Now, here what is hard currency? It is issued by a nation that is politically and economically stable. Basically, that currency is known as hard currency. Okay. So, it has lot of demand, and the government which is issuing it is politically and economically stable. Okay. So, yeah, hard currency, dollars and other hard currencies is the answer. Alright. Now, what are fiber optic cables and how do they work? Now, what are these fiber optic cables? These fiber optic cables are made from thin strands of cylindrical glass. Okay. And the diameter of this typical fiber is close to the diameter of a human hair. Okay. Now, what will this optical fiber have? See, it will have core. Around this there is cladding, okay, and around this there is buffer, okay, and around this there is jacket. Okay. So this is how typically optical fiber will look like. This is the enlarged image. Okay. Generally, it will be of the diameter equivalent to human hair. Alright. And the phenomenon How do they work? The phenomenon they follow is total internal reflection. Okay, total internal reflection. You would have heard this in your 10th standard or probably 9th standard. If you are, you know, if you are aware of this, it's good, otherwise I'll explain. Okay, this is the same phenomenon that is happening in diamond also. Alright, now this total internal reflection occurs when the light rays travel from a more optically denser medium to a less optically denser medium. Alright, and here if I say this you might not understand, but if I draw this, probably you will understand, or you can recollect. See, this is water, this is air, this, so you would have learned or seen, no? See, this is the incident ray and this is the refracted ray, and this is the incident ray, this is the refracted ray. Now here it is passing through line of water. At a specific angle of incidence, this ray of incident ray of light is refracted in such a way that it passes along the surface of water. Okay, this particular angle of incidence is called what? Critical angle. Alright, when the angle of incidence is greater than the critical angle, then the incident ray, what will happen? See, suppose if it is less and if it is more, okay. Now if it is, this is called critical angle, okay. Now if the light ray is incident at an angle more than this critical angle, then this refracted ray will come like this, no? Okay. So this is called total internal reflection. So the incident ray also is in water, the refracted ray is also in water. Okay, this is called total internal reflection, because there is no change of medium, no. So here you will call it as reflection, whereas here there is change in medium. This is water, this is air, no. This is called refracted ray. Here both the rays are inside water, so this is reflected ray. Okay. Now, why are these fiber optic cables used over normal copper cables? It's because these optic fiber cables, no, they have few advantages. Obviously, that is the reason why they will use these over copper cables, right? So, one is they have high bandwidth, the second is there is low signal loss, and third one is very important, the immunity to interference. They are immune to interference, alright. And fourth one is fiber cables are not sensitive to the external perturbations such as lightning and bad weather, which means they are intact, they are not sensitive. Because of those lightning or bad weather conditions, the signal that is passing through will not get disturbed, alright. So that is the thing, fine. Now consider the following statements. Optical fiber cables are typically made of thin cylindrical strands of copper. No, I already told you, right? They are made of thin cylindrical strands of glass, not copper. So this is gone. Optical fibers can carry information in the form of electromagnetic waves. Yes. The concept of total internal reflection is central to the functioning of optical fibers. Yes, this is also correct. We just saw, right? Now, optical fibers are sensitive to external perturbations. No, they are not sensitive. They are insensitive, as in they are intact. They do not get disturbed due to external conditions. All right. We have to also be like that, you know. So, UPSC aspirants also need to learn something from this optical fiber, because you shouldn't get disturbed due to XYZ external factors. All right. You have to stay focused on your work like optical fiber. Be like optical fiber. Okay? So this is gone. So two statements are correct. Okay? So B is the answer. Now the optical phenomenon that is responsible for propagation of light signal through an optical fiber is total internal reflection. Okay? Now discovered a mechanism that quietly removes unfit cells before you are born. Now what is this article referring to? It is referring to HERVH and embryo development. Now what is this HERVH? It is a vital gene that is associated with pluripotency. Pluripotency. What is this potency? I told you, in the previous C.A.R.E sessions, potency is the ability of the cell to differentiate into different cells. Okay, that is the potency. Typically, it will be potency of a stem cell. We will talk about potency of a stem cell. Alright. Now, coming to this HERVH, it is a vital gene associated with pluripotency, indicating the capacity of cells to differentiate into various cell types within the human body during the embryonic development. Alright. Now, what is pluripotency? Pluripotent cells can differentiate into any type of cell in the human body. Okay. Now, totipotent, this is one more term, totipotency. What is totipotency? This is also the ability of the cells to differentiate into any cell type in the human body, plus it can also differentiate into placental cells that are essential for embryonic nourishment. Alright. So, this is the difference between totipotent cells and pluripotent cells. Alright. Now, we will get into the MCQ. Consider the following statements. Pluripotent cells can differentiate into any cell type in the human body. This is correct. Pluripotent cells express a gene called HERVH, which is essential for maintaining pluripotency. This is correct. Pluripotent cells are restricted to forming a specific tissue type. No, this is wrong. Because along with totipotent cells, pluripotent cells, there is also a type of cells known as multipotent cells. Multipotent cells. What are multipotent cells? You know, these cells have this restricted, they are restricted to form a specific type of tissue, specific tissue type. For example, if you take a blood cell, it can become RBC, WBC, okay. So, different types, alright. So, yeah, usually blood, if you talk about blood, it will be, you will usually say it as RBC. However, if you take the complete blood profile, you will have different cells, no, in that report you will see, no. So, yeah, that is classic example of multipotent cells, alright. So, 1 and 2, two statements are correct. Now, which one of the following is a membrane that protects the developing embryo from desiccation? Now, what is desiccation? It is the removal of moisture from something, okay. So, usually if you see the images in internet, in the mother's womb, the fetus will be protected with a sac, no. There is fluid here and the fetus is here, okay. So, the sac is protecting the fetus or the developing embryo from desiccation, okay, because it is holding this fluid together and the fetus together. So, it is getting the required moisture, right. So, that is known as amnion, amnion, okay. And here you should also know amniocentesis. What is amniocentesis? This is for your information, I am telling you, just in case for in prelims you might come across this term. Amniocentesis, it is a prenatal procedure that your doctor may recommend you during pregnancy. It means the test actually checks the fetal abnormalities, okay. They will take out this, they will take out cells from this amniotic fluid and they will test if the fetus has some abnormalities like Down syndrome or, so amnion is the answer. Now, as deaths due to work related factors increase, ILO report calls for countries to strengthen the safety net. Okay, for prelims, ILO can be a potential question. So, we will look into some basics of ILO. So, the year you all know, it is 1919, year of establishment, and it is headquartered in Geneva. Is India a founding member? Yes, India is a founding member, alright. And what are the reports that ILO gives? It is India Wage Report. See, usually when you think it is India Wage Report, the international organization will not come into picture. You will think some Niti Aayog or Ministry of Labour is giving, but no, India Wage Report is given by ILO, alright. Next, Future of Work Report, okay, World Employment Social Outlook Trends. So, all these reports are given by what? ILO, alright. Now, consider the following. ILO Occupational Safety and Health Convention number 155. Which of the International Labour Organization conventions were ratified by India? See here, this one, this particular convention only 79 members have ratified and India did not ratify. Okay, and this one only 62 members. India ratified none of them. Okay, so D is the answer. Alright. Now, which one of the following international human rights instrument has been signed by India but not yet ratified? This Convention on the Nationality of Married Women. Okay, so this one India didn't ratify. Rights of Child, yes. Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, yes, we also have a law, right? Yeah, Convention on the Political Rights of Women. This one India signed in the year 1953 itself. However, it ratified in the year 1961. So, long back India did this, but Convention on Nationality of Married Women, no. Okay, so D is the answer. This is it for today. All the best.